Hey, what's going on, guys? This is one that I know there's been a ton of hype for, so I'm really looking forward to checking this one out. It has a very cool design. This, of course, is the Gundam Calibarn here. Really cool, very unique design, and it's just one of many unique designs, I guess, that we've seen throughout this series, which has made the kits so fun for me. Let's go ahead and check out the box, and then we'll get the kit built up for today's review. So once again, as is the norm with this line, we've got some beautiful box art right here on the front with the Gundam and its very broom-shaped weapon there. A pretty obvious nod to the witch motif, but that's all quite interesting here. And with this mostly white Gundam, we don't have a whole lot of color here on the front. You can see a little bit of color here and there, mostly up in the clear parts, which I think, just as far as the kit goes, is going to be one of the most interesting aspects of this, especially with that, clear multicolor, like kind of rainbow effect there for the V-fin, which everyone's excited to see. On the side of the box, you can see this is number 26 in the line, and a little bit thicker than normal box here for this one compared to some of the other Gundams that we've had out in the line so far. Over here on the side, we've got a look at the front of the painted version of the kit, although, it's mostly white, so painted or unpainted, as we do have a photo of the unpainted kit over here. It's not going to look too different if you just stick with the original colors, obviously just because it is mostly white. But we do have a couple spots of color here, red and yellow around on the kit, and then obviously, like for the cameras, the eyes, and then the clear parts, we have some more color. So we have a couple of action poses around here showing what you can do with that. Of course, you can use the effect stands sold separately. It also comes with white escuchan, which is basically the shield similar to like what we had with the Ariel, right? If not exactly the same. Going on here to the top of the box, we have a look at the fully painted kit here, front and back, just in a simple standing pose there. A little bit about the main character, Suletta Mercury, and the Witch from Mercury series here in Japanese and in English for you there as well. Now, as I said, the box is a little bit thicker, so we're gonna have maybe a little bit more than what we've typically seen in the line so far in here for the contents, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. I just want to first take a look at the instruction manual here, where we've got the box art here minus the space background on the front. Some information down here at the bottom about the Gundam and Suletta Mercury. That's there in Japanese and in English as well. Same thing with the color guide or the paint guide, which is background here on the back side there as well in Japanese and in English, and all of the information on here. We do also have the artwork there for the Gundam, and then the same images, mostly the same what we saw on the outside of the box, but some more information here about the variable rod rifle. Also got the high maneuverability mode here, the shell unit, information about that, the escuchan shield there, and again a look at how everything's going to look with the Witch from Mercury effect bases there if you want to pick up a couple of those. On the inside, we do have our parts list, which is here in full color as well, and the first couple of pages of construction are in full color. After that, everything else is going to all be here in black and white, but plenty of explanation for everything. As always, the instructions are going to be pretty easy to follow without any text at all, but for the text that we do have in the manual, it is all in Japanese and in English, so no need to worry about that. For our foil sticker sheet, there is quite a bit on here, but as you can see, most of this is for like camera effect, like light effect bits. For these option parts here, you're really only going to use one, either the full black ones or the ones with the rainbow effect on there for going underneath the shell unit parts. So you got like stickers for the eyes and head cameras, just for filling in some black bits. So it may look like there's a lot of stickers on here. Most of this would be pretty easy to paint in yourself if you did want to opt to do that, I think. But so, well, it looks pretty bad. I think on the finished kit, it's not going to be too offensive. For our beam saber effect parts, we've got them in clear blue, which is different. And also the fact that this is SB9. These are the beam effect parts, which I think were typically used with the Age and or 00 series of HG kits, if I remember correctly. They're a little bit different shaped. They're kind of more flat here and then extend to just kind of round there at the tip. So that's kind of interesting. We've also got an included base here, which is the BA0 base, which will give you at least a base that you can use. Obviously, if you want to use all the effects, though, you'll have to get that sold separately, effects base. If not two of those, actually, I believe that you would need for this. So this is actually runner F, but I want to take a look at this one here first, because this is our very special runner with that iridescent effect painted on there. And as you can see, it looks like this is painted on the back side of a clear part for both of those, for the shell unit and for the V-fin. So it's a clear part, and then they paint this effect, and then they paint the metallic silver behind that to give you this look. So it does look really nice. I'm curious to find out how that's going to look with the V-fin, as it does have those safety flags on there. I think removing those and maintaining the effect may be a bit tricky. As for the rest of our runners, here is runner A, which is in 4 colors, yellow, red, all of our gray parts in here, and then a green part up there for the eyes and head camera. Runner B has the rest of our medium gray parts here for the rest of the like joint, internal frame type of parts there, some more of the mechanical aspects of the kit. Whereas with runners C and D is all of the white parts for the kit. And so here we've got runner C, which is nice, a big runner here. And then D1 and D2 are just kind of split in half, but this is all going to be all the rest of our white. So there's going to be quite a lot of white here with this kit. Last but not least here, runner E, since we already took a look at runner F, does feature plain clear parts for the V-fin and the shell unit there on the chest if you did opt to use those instead of the colored ones. But this is all of our clear gray parts, kind of smoky clear parts here for around on the kit. Alright guys, so here is the kit all built up. This is definitely one that you're going to want to have for your collection if you're enjoying the HG Witch from Mercury kits at all, if you've been building a few of them, or if you've been building every single one. This is definitely going to be one that you're going to want to have. It does have a lot of familiar elements, of course, with some of the past Gundams like the Ariel and then Lefrith, I think, so a lot of like familiar beats with that, but definitely very unique in its design still. Once again, as we've been saying with this line kind of all along, a lot of really cool unique designs. A couple of pros and cons here and there, but overall significantly on the pros side here with this one, there's a lot of really cool stuff going on. Obviously it's got that really cool weapon. I think that alone is going to be a significant draw for this mobile suit, but it was a really fun build and the kit looks great, so I mean, what more could you ask for? But let's go ahead and take a look at the other accessories here. And I just want to start off by talking about the base. Now you'll notice this is not the base that was included. We did get an included base with this kit, and the reason why I have it on here is because I thought this one would be a little bit more stable. This is going to bring us to the first of a couple of very small issues that I have with this kit. I don't really want to start on a negative note, but since we're looking at it right now, the one thing is because it's got so much weight on one side, it's going to want to be, if you want to have it in just like a straight up and down pose, it's going to be leaning off to the side, and you're going to have to try to counter that, either that or try to stabilize your action base in some way. Mine just kind of has a little bit of a wobble to it, and if yours does too, which is most likely, it's going to want to be kind of leaning off to the side, which can work fine if you want to do like some dynamic pose where it's going to be leaning anyway. It's not going to be an issue, just telling you if you want to do like an up and down pose like this. Whereas with the included base, if I can show this to you guys, I find the straight vertical peg for this to be kind of not the correct angle. If you have the Gundam in like a proper posing, it's always going to look like it's like sort of leaning to the front. It needs to be a little bit further up like that, I feel like, to look proper. The other thing is that even though the base is kind of more stable, as in it doesn't have that side to side wiggle on it, it is still going to be a little bit off balance just because of the weight distribution of the Gundam. But again, all very minor issues just depending on how you want the kit posed and how you want to display it and everything like that. Obviously, just standing without any base is going to be very difficult, again, just because there's so much weight towards the back. So depending on the pose, I mean, you could do it some sort of action pose and get it to stand on the ground without the use of an action base. I'm sure that's totally possible, but again, just something to keep in mind. Now, a couple of option parts that we have are of course going to be the plain clear parts, like for here on the chest. You can use that, and then you can use the sticker underneath, either just the black sticker, or it has this multicolored sticker there, and you could just use the sticker and this plain clear part over the top of that. Same thing with the V-fin. Now we don't have any sort of sticker that goes on like the back side of the clear V-fin, but you have just like a plain smoky clear V-fin there that you can use if you want, rather than the rainbow printed one there. Another clear part is right here in the crotch section. I've left that off for the time being just because I feel like it's gonna fall off while I'm in the middle of doing this review, and it's gonna fall somewhere and be lost. So I would recommend maybe just putting a little bit of glue on this just to make sure that it doesn't get lost or fall off. It fits in there kind of well enough, but as I was just messing around with the kit during the live stream, this fell off a couple of times, and I wasn't like shaking the kit around or anything, so that's another something to be just a little bit careful of. Up here on the back, of course, we have our beam saber handles. One note on that, I do want to say that I kind of like how the beam saber handles are mounted on the backpack. Normally when we have this sort of thing, like with the RX-782 and many other Gundams, the beam saber handles are kind of like more off to the side. I like how these are like just kind of straight back behind the head of the Gundam. It's just kind of cool, interesting, unique placement for those. But we've got our clear blue beam saber effect parts, and like I said, a little bit different shape for these, which is kind of nice change of pace at least. And then we've got this shield. Now there are a couple stickers on here as well, obviously that black and green sticker right there in the center. But also, and much less noticeable on the end here, these gray parts extend all the way to the end, but the tips have a white wraparound sticker that you're going to wrap around that section just right there at the end of those gray parts. And obviously, just like we've seen before, this shield will break up into the multiple sections, and this will just plug straight onto the arm of the Gundam when in use. Our main weapon, of course, is just going to be the variable rod rifle, which is just here, and it's just kind of permanently mounted on, whereas if you leave that off, you're just going to have this ball joint sticking off to the side at the bottom of the backpack there. But this is attached via this articulated arm here, so you should be able to get that moved around into kind of any pose that you want. We do have a couple of stickers on here, one for the camera right there on the bottom, that green sticker. For the end here, we have this gray sticker which wraps around the end of the barrel. Now you have an option for that to use a green one instead. I went with the gray sticker just because that seems to be what's used on the box art. And then around on the back side, open up these sections here, we've got 16 stickers, so 4 in each section for those green bits in there, and then there's one in the center here as well. So it took a little while to get all those stickers on there. Obviously that's a lot of stickers to place in and around there, but they do look really nice. I think the finished result does look pretty cool there with all that shiny metallic green inside there. Other than that, all the stickers are just going to be underneath clear parts. Like I said, here in the chest, here in the shoulders, there's stickers that go underneath those clear parts. And again, you have options for either just plain black or the kind of multicolored ones here in the front of the crotch, on the legs, on the front of the leg, and then on the back of the leg as well. Going to be kind of harder to see. It's kind of up inside there, but there's a sticker that goes on the inside of the clear part. On the back of the leg there as well. On the back side of the arm, a couple of little green stickers right here. And then up on the head, we do have stickers for the eyes and the head cameras, but you have an actual green part, which actually feeds all the way through to the back head camera there as well. So I just opted for just using the green part and not using those foil stickers. I'm sure those foil stickers do probably look nice if that's the look that you prefer. There's also stickers for the eyes to be in either green or in pink, so you can choose those if you want as well. Oh, and then underneath the clear part here on the head, there's another sticker that I did use for underneath the clear part. But on the note of the head, I mean, the color separation is fantastic. You have a gray part which wraps around the eyes and also includes the Vulcans out the side there. The green part, like I said, for the eyes and the head cameras. You have a separate yellow part for the little accent there on the side of the head, separate red part there for the chin piece, and the way the face piece fits onto there is also quite unique. You will have a little bit of a seam line here on the back of the head under the camera. That just goes right down there. But otherwise, on the main kit itself, there's not really too much else for seam lines. This kit does a much better job compared to the Schwarzette, as I talked about, how it was kind of hiding a couple of the seam lines just as panel lines. This one hides the seam lines much nicer as just kind of details along here on the side of the arm. For example, here on the front of the bicep, that seam is just a detail. So I prefer this style where if they're gonna hide the seam lines, they just hide them as just kind of details of the armor, details of the design, rather than just like a straight panel line kind of thing, right? So nothing too bad here on the mobile suit itself. That said, here on the backpack parts, you are gonna have a seam line on this part right here on the backpack, and on the rifle going all the way down the full length of the rifle. Now, fortunately, those are pretty easy as this is kind of mostly just a plain surface. You have a couple of little detail spots here and there where you may have to end up like rescribing these lines out a little bit maybe in the seam line removal process, but not too bad. As for the articulation, it's all going to be pretty standard. We have a double joint here in the neck, which does give you a pretty wide range of movement. I wish that this would be able to go up a little bit more maybe, but here in the torso, nice forward and not really so much of a back bend, but just a forward bend there. Also nothing side to side, but rotation there at the midsection. These side skirts are notable just because they're really small, these little things that basically just rest kind of above the thighs, but those do move up and down a little bit. The front skirts move up and down a little bit. The back skirt's also unique as you have this kind of big back, it's like a backpack, it's like a second backpack just kind of connected to the back skirt sort of there, but this also is kind of interesting how these will expand out to the side like that, these parts right here. And speaking of the backpack, aside from the weapon being mounted onto there, these pod parts here on the side are also just mounted via ball joints, so those will move around a little bit, and these can also open up ever so slightly like that. A little bit of movement there, as you can see. Otherwise, yeah, pretty normal movement here in the arms. We have a single joint in the elbow, which has been kind of the norm for this series, but it gives you about 90 degrees, which, you know, it'd be nice to get a little bit more, but I think that works pretty well. Here in the thigh, you're going to have a nice movement upward at the hip. A double joint at the knee gives you a pretty nice separation there of this kind of inner armor piece. Down here at the foot, a nice forward and back bend. The front part of the foot will rotate side to side, and the back part as well will rotate side to side to get an angle there for a flat stance. Up underneath the feet, a little bit of a gap there at the toe, but some nice details. This part here at the back of the foot will extend. I'm not really exactly sure what that's for, but that does open up there. You'd think that maybe it folds down for like a more solid stance, but it doesn't like sit flat, so I don't think that that's what it's for necessarily. But let's go ahead and take a look at some poses with this, just because while I have pointed out a couple of minor negatives here and there along the way, I think it's going to be an overwhelmingly positive kit here, just because it's such a cool design. I really like the color scheme, that all white color scheme with just a couple of hints of the yellow and red here and there, and then obviously you have your kind of like rainbow effect sections in like where the shell unit and clear parts are located around on the kit. It is missing a couple of small color apps here and there, but for the most part, I mean, the color separation, especially in the head, is really, really nice. And throughout the mobile suit, you have the nice breakups of the white with the little bits of gray poking out here and there. It all looks quite nice. And again, easy to understand why that variable rod rifle is going to draw so many people to want to check out this kit, just because it has such a cool and unique weapon to it. But the shield is nice as well. I've always liked the aerial Gundam shield, which I know this is the aerial rebuild shield, but very similar, of course. I think it's been a really cool shield design, so it's been nice to see this kind of same and or similar one. Also, it's very similar to the Lefrith shield as well, I feel like. So it's cool to see that here again with this Gundam. I feel like it's not really featured all that much in like the promotional images, do kind of seem to center more on the rifle. And with this kit not including the effect parts, that does mean, once again, that if you wanted to display the shield separated as the different gun bits, you will need the Witch from Mercury weapon display base. You know, but as I've been saying in different reviews, you know, if you're a fan of these mobile suits, it'd be a good idea to have a couple of those weapon display bases just so that you can use them, because a lot of different mobile suits in the line do use those. But I think even without the weapon display base, just being able to have the shield just as a shield on the arm, or have it separated into the different gun bits mounted around onto the body of the Gundam, I think also is pretty cool. So there's a lot of cool stuff that you can do with this, and it's just a very cool and very unique design, I think, once again. And it's kind of interesting how it's very similar looking to the Lefrith, I think, just because it has a very similar silhouette and it has so much white going on. It's primarily white. It's kind of interesting how between the Lefrith and now this kit, we kind of like bookends this series of mobile suits, and I'm sure we're going to get more HG kits out in this line probably in the future, but at least for the time being, it kind of feels like a beginning and end Gundams that are sort of similar, I guess, if that makes sense. You guys agree? What do you think? Anyway, it's an awesome kit, guys. Check it out at USA Gundam Store. The link to USA Gundam Store will be down in the video description below. As always, you can check this kit out, everything else from the Witch from Mercury line, and everything else there on the site. Lots of cool stuff. So thank you all so much for your support. I hope that you enjoyed taking a look at this kit with me here today. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you feel so inclined. If you're not subscribed yet, that would be awesome. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Till next time, I'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye.